If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Susan. Today we are going to transform some pieces that I have picked up from stores like TJ Maxx or I thrifted. Some of these were damaged in our move, like this white bunny with his little basket. His foot was completely broke off, but I knew I could fix him, which I will be showing you in this video. And this was a thrifted piece. And these, I actually picked these up from at home. So we are going to start with the swap bunny. And I think he turned out so good. And if you have any broken items, don't throw them away. Try out this technique and they will look good as new. I used china and glass cement and I did the best I could to glue his foot back. It wasn't a clean break. There were tiny little pieces. So I did the best I could. And now I'm just going to be using this acrylic latex caulk to fill in the cracks. And it says you can paint after 20 minutes. Now I'm going to be using chalk paint in Snow White. Just covering him with one coat of this chalk paint. And here's how he looks just after the one coat of paint. And you can barely see the crack. So just one coat of paint and he looks better already. Now I'm adding chalk paint in sandstone. And I'm not going to cover him completely because I will be layering the paints. And I want to see the white paint show through. So here's how he looks, and we are just going to be letting him dry. And while he's drying, we will move on to our next project. I'm going to be using these plastic eggs, and somehow I have accumulated a lot of them. So I wanted to test out two different products. So for the first one, I'm going to be using this lightweight spackling, and it kind of has like a softer, spongier feel to it. And then for this one, I'm going to be using the joint compound. And I like how this one has a hard covering to it. I think I really like this one the best. Okay, so let's paint them and see how they turn out. I decided to make the rest of them using the joint compound. Here's how I did them. I just used my finger to apply it to the bottom of the egg. And then once that was dry, I added it to the top. And this dries really quick. So the first color I'm going to be using is this Waverly chalk paint in sandstone. And then layering in this chalk paint in steel. I'm going to start with the joint compound covered egg first. And I'm just going to be applying the sandstone color. And then I had to go grab an egg carton to hold my eggs while they dried. Okay, so now I'm going to start on this one with the spackling. Okay, so now that that's dry, we can turn them over and paint the other end. And then I decided to add some white paint, and layering the paint just gives it lots of dimension and it helps it to look like real concrete. And so for the last 2 eggs. I decided to add a little bit of green for like a moss effect. And I added this while the first color was still wet. Added a little bit of the watered down brown paint. And then went over that with chalk paint in the color Mineral. And I just wanted the green to just barely peek through. And I will show you how it turned out in just a minute. But now we are going to move on to our next project. And it's going to be this container that I picked up at the thrift store. I started by adding our chalk paint in white. And here's a close-up so you can see the difference. And I went ahead and painted a little bit of the inside right at the top. And here's what it looks like with just one coat of the chalk paint. So our next layer will be sandstone. And just like our other projects, we are not going to completely cover it so that our layers of paint show through. Now our next color is Steel, and we are going to lightly add this color in smaller areas and around the bottom, and then just keep layering until you love how it looks. And these colors that I'm using for a lot of these projects, this Sandstone and Mineral, look very similar, but one of them is a little bit darker, so it does add dimension using both of them. And then I wanted to try something different on this piece, so I grabbed this brown paint. It is a wax in Antique. And I'm going to add water to it and just water it down. And I ended up spraying quite a bit of water into it because it is pretty thick. And I wanted it to run down the sides of the container. And as I always say, I just figure these things out as I go along, so I'm never really sure how the end result is going to turn out. And I actually thought the stripes looked pretty cool. So I'll probably try this technique out again, but leave the stripes. But for this piece, it felt like it needed more. So I added more watered down brown paint. And then immediately wiped it off so it wouldn't be so dark, because I do want the stripes to show through. And now I'm using sandstone and just tapping it in random spots. And then using a paper towel, just wiping over it to soften it and just blend it in. And then I just repeated this technique until I liked how it was turning out. just going to add a little more of the brown to finish it off. And then I thought this topiary tree would be perfect in my container. So I pulled it out. I added some styrofoam into my container, added my little topiary tree, added a little Spanish moss on the top. Okay, so now let's go decorate my entry table with all of our DIYs. So my daughter and I love to go antique shopping, and there are these two antique stores that we go into, and they have this garden vibe when you first walk in with statues and water fountains and plants, and it just makes me so happy. And so I kind of want to incorporate that garden feel into my home. And I know Liz Marie Galvin does that a lot in her home, and it's just so pretty. I love her style. And here's how it all came together. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give it a big thumbs up.